Hi, everyone. This is Gloria, the host of the Love and the Work You Do podcast. And today I'll be talking to Danielle Davis, a financial empowerment strategist and the founder of moneyinmatrimony.com, a blog focused on teaching married couples how to earn more income, get rid of debt, and save for the future. A strong passion and commitment for helping others manage their personal finances began as a teenager and has continued to grow over the past several years. She obtained a Master's of Business Administration and a Bachelor's of Arts in Accounting over a decade ago, and has spent the last 12 years working for Fortune 500 companies. After finding out that she'd soon become a mom, Danielle and her husband got serious about building wealth and paid off over $107,000 of debt in just 35 months. Goal is to empower married couples so that they can take control of their personal finances. In today's podcast, we talked about how Danielle paid off her debt. We explored money stories, like something that you're interested in learning about. Come on in, pull up a chair, and let's learn together.
Hi, Danielle. Thank you for joining me today on the podcast. So excited to have you here and to talk about what you do. I just want to ask you to describe yourself to the audience, if you don't mind, what you do. And
so basically, I run a blog over at moneyinmatrimony.com where I teach married couples how to get rid of debt, earn more income, and save for the future. And that's it in a nutshell, unless you want me to go a little further.
Oh no, that was good. If you went a little further, what would that sound like?
So basically, I guess, people might ask, how did I, even get into this? And my passion for helping others manage their money, build their marriages, and change their mindsets was basically ignited when I would receive phone calls from friends and family asking for advice on these topics. So I think that probably had something to do with me navigating this arena.
Okay, cool. That's good. So that's a great quality to have, to be the person that people can approach in the first place to ask the question.
Yes.
So thank you for sharing that. So I'm gonna start with, I feel like what you're doing, as you mentioned, passion, that it also feels like it's your calling. And I also think I read that in your blog. So my niche is to work with women that are divorced, but I also believe in people working in their purpose, in their calling. Some people call it like a life's work.
Yes.
And I feel like, what you're doing sounds like that. So I wonder if there's like the moment that started this, apart from what you just described about your friends reaching out to you, friends and family, you answering the questions they had. Like, was there like a aha moment where you were just like, like, this is what I need to do?
I think, I don't know if I call it an aha moment, but what I'll say is that in my family, I noticed that I didn't have many role models to look up to when it came to marriage. So my husband's parents have been married for over 35 years. I think it's 36 or 37 now. And on my side, I didn't see that as much. And then one of the other issues was it was money, right?
Mm.
It was other things that went into people getting divorced, but one of the
Mhm.
issues that I noticed was, money would come up, and that's with friends, That's with family, just different issues like that. And so I think that was one of the things that ignited this inside of me. And
Okay.
plus, my husband and I got married when we were really young, in our 20s, still in college. And money was like always a topic that we like talked about. And I just knew that we were going to do something different. We weren't going to be like
Mm,
everybody else as it relates to money. And for a while, we were like everybody else. And that's
mhm.
okay if that's how
Yeah.
those people want to live. That's okay. But for us, we decided that we wanted to do something different. And I think we knew
Mm,
that early on. And
okay.
just being a very young couple, we've been married for 13 years now. We met in middle school. So like we've grown up with each other. And so
That's
just
beautiful.
having that longevity in marriage, I'm like, if money is one of the leading causes of divorce,
Mm,
I don't want to be in that number, if that makes sense.
yeah, yeah, it totally does. So I want to narrow down onto something you said. Like when you said
Sure.
it didn't see it as much. So like me growing up Nigerian, certain things were just the norm, which like marriages. Of
Yeah.
course, there are divorces and remarriages, but then like the Nigerian culture, actually, you can have like one wife and two wives,
Mm,
which which I like America for. Like it actually shows you like you can't have both your cake and eat it at the same
that's it.
time, right? And so the reason why I want to narrow down what you said was, is it that, so for me, like my dad was married to my mom, but he also had a second wife, right? And that's a
Okay.
Nigerian thing.
Okay.
um and that just messes with you, right? So um on a vulnerable side, when you say didn't see it as much growing up, is it that your parents were divorced?
Yeah, so my
Okay.
mom and dad divorced when I was about 3. So clearly, I don't remember. I don't remember that because I was 3. So it was me and my sister. So my sister had to be about 2 at the time. And so I'm
Okay.
sure she wouldn't remember either. And my dad went on to marry my stepmom, years later. But when I think as you grow up, when you see, I guess I'd call it dysfunction
Yeah.
for lack of a better
Yeah.
word. When you see that kind of dysfunction,
Hmm.
immediately something in my brain just said, I don't want to be like that, or I don't want
Hmm.
my marriage to end in divorce. And
Yeah.
so that was something that I kind of learned early on.
And yeah. Yeah. I feel like the whole married two wives pattern of Nigerians is similar to divorce. It's just like, unfortunately, like the woman
Yeah.
can't leave, you know. It's like, it's just like a weird thing. So it's just really dysfunctional.
Yeah.
And hopefully, I feel like even in the United States, like Nigerians that are here now are learning that, you can't do the same thing you did back in Nigeria. And it's funny because my
Right.
parents grew up here, but then went back to Nigeria, and then my dad went back into the pattern of,
Wow.
and I'm like, you studied here, you did everything here, you went back, and I would have thought like America would have shaped him, but you went back there. But I feel like what you're saying, I feel the same way too. Like I saw that, and I really really wanted to be better.
To be
And
different. Yeah.
yeah, yes, to be different. Yeah. So thank you so much. 3.4% of marriages per 1,000 people, right?
Okay.
And then 3.2% of divorces per 1,000 people. Um, and that was something that CDC did in 2016, like a
Hmm.
survey they did. And even though it's not like a huge difference in the numbers, you see where the work that you're doing is really important to help people have the conversations to not get to the part where like they're divorced. And I know like on also looking on your website, I saw like there was a quote I loved, like you wrote something, but I see it as a quote that differences in opinion surrounding money can often lead to divorce. Um,
Absolutely.
and it's funny that like it's like of course there are like a lot of reasons you know but I feel like a financial reason is one that is solvable, assuming
Yes,
right that the people can both work together. And so in there I think you also said so you put the three things together, money, the marriage, and then to help people with their mindset.
yeah.
So, having said all that, so if you were to help a family, a friend, or even a client who's having issues in their marriage as a result of money, like maybe what tip would you give them um, to help them? I know they have to come to you, of course, with a certain scenario
Sure. Yeah.
first, and then like if you can give us an example how you can help.
So first, I'd have to say that each partner or spouse would need to start off by understanding each other's money story. They need to ask
Mm,
those deep questions so that they understand what each partner has experienced in their childhood about money. Our money
mhm.
mindsets are formed as children. So what
Yes.
we're watching our parents do, the different experiences that we've endured, all that helps to shape our money mindset. So it's
Mm,
not that we're doing what we're doing in our adulthood because we just learned it.
mhm.
The things that we're doing have been ingrained and have grown over time.
Yes,
so
that's
I
the mindset work. Mhm.
Yes, yes, yes. So I think it's important to understand where your spouse is in regards to money mindset, and then that will help to clear communication about money.
Okay. So if I have, so let's say we didn't have the conversation before we married, of course, and my spouse is like, nope, you you can't do anything about how I spend my money. Uh, like, what will I do?
So in that case, if you have a reluctant spouse, um you have to have some kind of conversation about money.
Mm,
And the key is you have to watch your approach, right? So you can't
mm,
come to your spouse or your partner, after a long day's work, fussing and acting a fool and waving your hands like that's one of the first things you need to consider is your actual approach when you want to talk, when you want to have the conversation about
mhm,
money. So I think that's important.
okay. Now I want to dive into your
Sure.
journey too, because you did pay off a whole lot of debt. And like how did it start? Why did it start? It's so interesting, 106, am I right?
Almost
108,
8,000.
108,000.
Yeah. Hmm.
That is a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah, so before I get into the steps, I guess I'll have to go back a little bit
Okay.
just to give you some context.
Okay.
So, my husband and I got married, like I said, before we even finished before we finished college, not high
Okay.
school, but we
Nice.
met in middle school. And so we had a whole bunch of student loans, we had auto loans, and we also had credit card debt. I think I probably had the majority of it though. I don't even remember if he had any.
Wow.
So credit cards was probably on me. So basically, we walked into the marriage with about $50,000 of debt as young 22, 23-year old college
Wow.
students,
Wow.
right? And so that's a lot of debt
Yeah.
when you think about it, $50,000, and
Hmm.
we don't even have like real jobs at the time, okay? So initially we were just living like everybody else. And it wasn't until we found out about the Dave Ramsey
Ah.
Financial Peace Program
Mm.
at our church in 2011 that we at least considered paying off some of our debt. So
Okay.
that's what kind of kickstarted it. So when I heard about that, I was like, okay, I think we should take this. So I started like binge listening to
Okay.
every podcast all day at work, all in a car with it, all at home with it. I was
Oh,
like, I think we could do this. And so I just kept listening. And I just ingrained it in my head. And so I'm like, okay, we can do this. I'll bring it to the husband, see what he says. And so we kind of move forward that way. So the thing was, I was on fire and ready to
mm.
do it, but I still had to get my husband on board. And
Yeah.
so that was going to be like the tricky part. So,
Yeah.
in case I didn't mention this, I am the saver. My husband is the spender. So, you can understand
Ah.
why I would need to try to get him on board to even do this.
But
So,
how
go
did
ahead.
that even happen? Like, because you're the one with all the credit card debt, but then you actually also
I'm a
have the
saver.
saving mindset.
I'm a saver who had like 10 credit cards.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, it was really weird. So actually I had a credit card, and I don't think I mentioned this, but I had a credit card for probably every store that I shopped at. So I'm a tall girl. I'm 5'11". So there's certain stores that I can shop at to buy my pants. Otherwise they're going to be high water. So I had like a New York and Company card. I had a limited card. Anybody who sold tall sizes, I had a card for
You
that
were there.
store. So like Limited, New York and Company, Old Navy sells talls. I mean, I just had all kind of stuff. I think one of us had like a Dillard's card, like
Oh,
22 years old,
okay.
23 with like a Dillard's card. Like it was just
That's
like random stuff, a discount tire credit card. It was the most random stuff that we did not even need. But
oh my
yeah, I
God.
would be
And then
saving on the side too with that credit
yeah.
card debt. Weird, huh? Yeah.
But that's good because that's I feel like that's what we now are telling people. That's what we want to educate people to do, to know that, you know, you can do all the things at the same time. Because I feel like in the past it used to be that we heard that save, then
Yeah.
and then we wouldn't do all the other things. So I like that.
Yeah.
And I feel like I also now just totally took us off course. So continue with the
No, no worries, no worries. I'm glad you asked that question. So back to what we were talking about. At first, when I tried to get my husband on board, he was like, look, I don't have time for this. At the time, the financial peace class that was being offered at our church was a 13-week class. It was during the middle of the week, and we live in a city where it takes 45 minutes to get everywhere. Like it's a
oh
long commute everywhere we go, unless you're going to the local grocery store. And so at the time, we lived on one side of town and the church was on the other side of
this
town.
one. Okay.
So yeah, it just took a lot of effort. It was going to take a lot of effort for us to be able to take the class in the middle of the week. So basically, I kind of came up with a plan and I said, "Hey, if you do this and we get out of debt," I said the faster we can get out of debt,
Mhm.
the faster you can get more fun money in your pocket, because we have a certain amount that we set aside every 2 weeks, and that's just fun money for us, just cash we can
Mm,
just pull out and we can just use however we see fit.
okay.
And
Mhm.
so with that, I'm like, look, if you do this, you can start getting more fun money, once we pay off this debt. And so I think that would kind of pull Tim in.
Okay. Oh wow, that's good. So it's good. That's a good cheat sheet to,
Yeah.
give
you got
people
you got to do a
incentive.
bribe.
Yeah, yes, yes, it's a bribe, really. Like, yep, yep. We do it with our kids.
Right.
So
Right.
we can do it with our spouse too. That's really
So
good. Okay. So how do you all figure out your percentage for your fund money? Do you have a percentage of
no,
income?
it's not really a percentage. It's just that we want to have something to pay ourselves with.
Mm,
However, we didn't want it to be too much because we knew that we had debt to pay off, and so
mm-hmm,
we wanted to just give ourselves something that we
mm,
can just say, okay, I'm free to do whatever it is that I want to do with this, and that's it. And I mean, it's not a whole bunch of money.
okay.
We still have a mortgage, so we paid off that 108,000 in 35 months, but we still do have a mortgage. So I just want to be
Okay.
clear on that we are consumer debt free, but we
Mm-hmm.
do still have a
That's a
mortgage, and
moment.
that's the next thing we are working on. So you
Okay.
asked me what steps we took to actually
Mm-hmm.
pay down the debt.
Yeah, I'm really
Yeah,
curious.
yeah. So once we got on the same page, we kind of started rocking and rolling.
Okay.
So we got on the same page. We took the class. We were on fire after the class, and we were paying off thousands of dollars of debt. And I mean, quickly. We had decent jobs, and we didn't have any kids, so we were able to just throw all our money at the
Okay.
debt. We didn't have a mortgage or anything like that. So it actually worked. But then we just kind of hit like I don't know, like a slump. And it was
Mm.
like, oh, I'm tired of doing this, tired of sacrificing. And
Oh,
then little by little, we just started not paying as much, using
okay.
the
Okay.
money for, a trip or to go out or whatever. And so we weren't as aggressive as we were when we had first left the class. And
Mm.
so we kind of coasted for about 6 years. So we started the process in 2011.
Okay.
And then shortly afterwards, we just kind of coasted. And then we didn't pick it back up and get serious
Mm.
about it until 2017. So that's a 6-year gap from when
Wow.
we first started the process to actually restarting the
Okay.
process.
That's
So
amazing.
you're probably wanting to know what sparked this up again in 2017. And I'll say it's the fact that we found out that we would become parents
Okay. Oh yeah.
is what actually made us go into overdrive. So for
Ah,
6 years, we just kind of lived like everybody else, right? Just did the regular old stuff that we're all used to. And
yes.
then once we found out that we were going to become parents, it was like, oh my God, now we were still paying off debt, but
Mm-hmm.
it was up at a much slower rate. But when we found that out, it was like, okay, we're about to take this up a notch. And I mean, we got serious. We started
Okay.
selling stuff in the house. We
What?
sold we sold an old truck that we had. We were just doing like random stuff and to get extra money, and we were just applying like any money that we had from our
Wow.
paychecks onto the debt. So basically we were just putting thousands of dollars on our student loans, car notes. I think we had paid the credit cards off by then. So we didn't have the credit cards in 2017. So it was only the student loans
Okay.
and the car notes. And I mean, we just went in. We just went in hard, and we were able to pay it in 35 months, but of
Wow.
course not without a lot of sacrifice.
Wow, that was really,
Yeah.
especially the gap between the what did 2011 and 2017.
Big old
But
gap.
yeah, but that's good because whatever you did initially together before you took the time off, like that was always there in the background and kind
Yeah.
of accelerated you when you knew you were having your baby. That's
Yes.
amazing.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So if you were going to um, give the steps of how you actually did it, it would even though there was like that time period. I feel like that time period could be for somebody else. It might also be like 3 weeks. It could be a year,
Sure.
maybe 20 years. I don't know. It's
It's very
possible.
possible. It is very possible. You have to put it in your mind. Your
Yeah.
mindset has to change to pay
Yeah.
off any kind of debt.
Yeah.
If it's
Yeah.
10,000, if it's $250,000, your mindset has to change in order for you to even begin the
Yes.
process.
Yeah. I totally agree. Like that whole mindset thing it's major. It's major. So
Yes.
I would say so definitely people need to know themselves and then get on a program and then I guess implement the program.
Yeah, sure. So I'd say if I just had to do like a quick rundown,
Yeah.
get on the same page. That's the first thing, especially, if you're doing this with a spouse or a partner. If you're doing this by yourself, then, maybe you want to find
Mm,
like a accountability partner or somebody to kind of help you on your journey and keep you motivated. Um,
gotcha.
and then afterwards, I would say if you do have a partner, then have deep conversations about money. Make sure you understand, like I said, what each other's money story is,
Hmm.
what kind of experience they've had as a child, so that you can understand why they make the choices they make in
Hmm.
regards to money. So that's the other thing. The next step I'd say is find your why. Understand why you want to pursue a financial journey like this. If it is paying off debt or building wealth, whatever it is, whatever your goals are, figure out and write it down. Write down why you want to do this. Is it because you want to, you know, help people in another country? Like, just write that information down.
Mm,
Another step I'd say is have money dates with your spouse. Sit down and check in on a weekly basis to discuss where you are financially and
mm,
hold each other accountable for any money transactions that you may have had during that period. Communication is going to be key during your financial journey. So make sure you have those money dates.
mm,
Another thing is continue to, I think I mentioned this, but continue to just practice changing your mindset from negative to positive. Get rid of those limiting beliefs that
mm,
may have you feeling stuck. So that's a
mm.
continual process. It's not just like, oh, that's step one, and then we're going to move down the list and we don't come back to it. Like that has
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
done every single day. Work on your mindset. Tell
Wow.
yourself that you can do this, that you can get out of debt, that you can build wealth, that you can do better with your finances. So kind of instill that in your brain. The other thing we did was we actually wrote our goals down
Okay.
and we
Yeah.
created a vision board. And I know you're
Mm,
big on the whole vision
yeah.
board and
Yeah.
goals. Yes, that is so important. Right on your vision board, put the dates that you want to pay
Mm,
off the debt. I mean, it can be a simple vision board. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Get a
exactly.
picture. You want to
Yeah.
pay off the house in 3 years? Take a picture of your house, print it out, put it on your vision board, and then, write the date that you want to have that house paid off, and then do the work. You can't just look
Mm,
at the
yeah.
vision board. You got to do the work. And so
Yeah.
just seeing that every day was just, it was helpful for us. And we didn't do that until, I want to say, maybe late 2018,
Okay.
maybe 2019. So maybe if we had done it early on, we maybe our journey wouldn't have taken as long to pay
Yeah.
off that debt. I don't know. However, I think that's an important step that people also often miss. So keep that in mind. And then the last thing I'd say is forgive each other for any
Mm,
money mistakes that you may endure on this
mm,
journey. Nobody is perfect. We don't always get it right. So, give each other some grace in regards
mm.
to those mistakes. And I think lastly, just show gratitude to each other. I mean, your partner doesn't have to get on board
Mhm.
with you on this journey, right? Now it would make sense for them to, but
Yeah.
they don't necessarily have to. So show your
Mm,
gratitude and appreciation for the sacrifices that's being made while you
mm.
guys are on this journey. So those would be probably the most important steps.
Okay.
I'd say. Hopefully, I'm not missing any.
No, I think those were really, really good. Yeah, because the reality is there will be some married couple whose spouse will never ever get on board with what they're doing, and
Yes,
you don't want to feel like you're alone.
right.
But you can still do what you need to do.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I feel like that's really, really important. I was so listening to that I didn't even piggyback on any any questions on that one. But that was really good. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So, um, so those are the unique steps people can use and you use to pay off your debt.
Yes,
I'm gonna jump to this question I always ask at the end.
sure.
Hopefully, as you answer it, I will have like another question because I know we're running close to time. So if someone, I never know how to phrase this question. It's more like there's something um, that you're always like, I wish someone would ask me about this thing. But there might be one thing that you've always wished like it's information, it's something that's happened to you, it is a, a recollection about the past, but it's something most people don't know about you.
Mhm.
um is there something that's like that for you, that you don't mind sharing? And it could be with this money in matrimony, blog and education that you're trying to do, but it could also be personal, if it can help people.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, and I won't say trigger, but just for just because I can't think of the word I want to say right
Mhm.
now, I'll go ahead and use it. So I guess what sparked, this love of teaching people about money and how to build wealth, I think that just stems from what I've seen in my own family, and I'm very close to my family. Let me just say
Mhm.
that we're very, like, now we don't always get along. So,
Family.
and we get on each other's nerves, right? And we do crazy stuff, but I am very, very close to my family. But what I saw just growing up was we had a lot of fun, but there was a lot of lack. There was a lot of struggle. Now we never went without
Mhm.
anything, but there was a lot of struggle, and I think I paid attention to those things. And so I think that's what kind of just sparked my interest in in this personal finance space. I paid attention to that and I said, okay, I see that this is working for this person, but these 10 things are not working for these people. So where do I want to fall in? That's how I made my decision on, whether or not to go to college. I'm just watching. I'm watching what's going on in my family, and I'm like, I want to do something different. I want to do something different. I don't want to have to struggle. I don't want to have to, depend on anybody for the bare necessities in life. And so I probably need to start learning a little bit more about money. So that's, I think just watching different scenarios play out in my family, that's what kind of put me on this path.
Okay, that's good. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So as we round up, because I know you gotta go, as we round up, I just want to say one more time, thank you very much for coming.
Sure.
And, but I really appreciate this. And can you share where people can find you if you have anything coming up in the works? And also, like, if someone listened to this today and they were like, you know what, Danielle sounds like someone I want to work with, like, how can they begin the process?
Sure. So I just completed my first ebook, which seems like it took forever. It's called The Beginner's Guide to Creating Financial Wellness. And it's basically a 50-page quick start guide that walks you through 30 easy ways to transform your finances. It's filled with plenty of exercises, tools, affirmations, and other resources to help you on your financial journey. So you can find that at the website, and
the website is
www.moneyin matrimony, and that's money in matrimony.com. And you can also find me on social media, Facebook at Money in Matrimony, Instagram at Money in Matrimony, and hopefully I'll be ramping up my YouTube channel this year. So I'm gonna go on a record and say that hold me accountable.
I will.
Yeah. So if you go to moneyandmatrimony.com, you'll be able to find a tab that says it shows work with me, and then we can connect from there. You can schedule a call, and then we can kind of connect from there if you're interested in any of my coaching services or what have you.
Okay. Awesome, amazing. Thank you. And thank you for sharing that. I may be the book thing, like I do newsletters once in a while, so we can probably put that in there.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
Thank you for coming.